Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily McAllister, and I'm a realtor in Greenville, North Carolina. And today I'm going to give you all the reasons why you should not move to the Crystal Coast. When we talk about the Crystal Coast, we are not talking about the Outer Banks. The Outer Banks is a separate area and part of the shoreline for North Carolina, made ever popular by the Netflix show. But the Crystal Coast is something very different, and it is an 85-mile stretch of shoreline that begins at Cape Lookout and ends in Emerald Isle, North Carolina, and includes all of the little towns in between, all of the towns on the island, including Atlantic Beach, Knoll Shores, and Indian Beach, and then all of the towns on the northern side of the intercoastal, so a part of the mainland, including Cedar Point, Swansboro, Cape Carteret, Harkers Island, Morehead City, and Beaufort. Now, these are relatively small towns year-round. Estimated population for the entirety of the Crystal Coast is around about 30,000 people, but the Crystal Coast hosts 3.5 million tourists annually throughout this 85-mile stretch. This is a very, very popular vacation spot for people in the Northeast, and it's also a very popular spot for people to retire. A little over half of the population in all of these areas are going to be retirement age. But let's get into all of the reasons you should not move here. First and foremost, you should not move to the Crystal Coast if you want a white Christmas. We have very, very mild winters in all throughout eastern North Carolina, but especially right on the coast. We have very, very mild winters all throughout the eastern part of North Carolina, but especially right on the water. The Gulf Stream is going to keep the air warm, and so it's going to help balance out the temperature from being super cold in the winter and from being super hot in the summer. Typically, anywhere up and down the beach is going to be 8 to 12 degrees warmer in the thick of wintertime and 8 to 12 degrees cooler in the heat of the summer. The first and only time the Crystal Coast had a white Christmas was in 1989. Secondly, if you are in a hurry to do anything, you should not relocate to the Crystal Coast. There is such thing as island time, and these guys are on it, y'all. You're living at the beach. It is a very different lifestyle. Things are not nearly as fast paced. It's very relaxed. It's very calm. Service is still going to be satisfactory if you're going to go out to eat or be in a retail store or what have you, but it's also not totally unheard of to go up to a restaurant or to a retail store on a random Tuesday and find it closed because the weather is nice. That is very, very much not out of the ordinary for this particular area. Some people really appreciate that and the step back that it allows them to take from the hustle and bustle of daily life. Some people don't like that at all. So if you are somebody that is not a fan of that very slow, relaxed, hey, I'll get to it when I get to it attitude that comes with island and beach life and island and beach time, then this might not be the place for you. Next, if you love fast food or the convenience of food delivery, this is probably not the place for you. Throughout the island, there are only 2 fast food locations. There's a McDonald's and a Bojangles in Atlantic Beach. But other than that, your options for food delivery are going to be limited to Chinese and pizza. And in the thick of the summer, you're looking at hour-plus waits for either of those things. So some people may prefer this because it kind of forces them to grocery shop and cook at home more often. Some people may not like it. Number 4, if you hate community and community events, this is most certainly not a good fit for you. All of these towns, and they are each separate municipalities, Emerald Isle, Indian Beach, Knoll Shores, and Atlantic Beach, put on multiple events throughout the year. 2 of my favorite events that Emerald Isle specifically puts on is the St. Patrick's Day Weekend Festival and the Santa Crawl. So St. Patrick's Day Weekend, they always do a big St. Patrick's Day themed festival. They block off the parking lot at the Food Lion, which is like one of the main strip malls on the island, and they've got all kinds of vendors. They've got beer, they've got live music, they've got blow up things and toys and rides for kids. And during the day, it is very kid friendly. People are walking and riding golf carts from all across the island to get here. People will book up, short-term stays specifically for St. Patrick's Day weekend for this event. And then as it gets later in the evening, kids kind of start to go away and it becomes adult playtime as people drink. And then the Santa Crawl is obviously an adult only event. It is a bar crawl that Emerald Isle hosts with all of the local bars, and people are encouraged to dress up like Santa Claus. So it's an all day long event. It is a lot of fun. Again, you can ride a golf cart pretty much anywhere on the island with the exception of Coast Guard Road, especially if you are within the incorporation of Emerald Isle. It's very easy to get to all of the most popular spots. You can't drive on the main road without all of the official designations for the golf cart, but you can cut across the main road, and there are all kinds of back ways that you can get to all of the grocery stores and all of the restaurants on the golf cart specifically. Also, electric bikes are a great way to get to and from if you're staying in an Airbnb or if you're visiting. And then obviously, if you're having too much to drink, Uber is always available. In addition to that, Morehead City is the host site of one of the largest fishing tournaments every year, the Big Rock Fishing Tournament, and that is held the second week of June. It is a week-long event. The entire waterfront and downtown Morehead City is blocked off for this event. They've got vendors out there. You can watch all of the boats bring their fish in at the end of the day. It is specifically a blue marlin fishing tournament. People come in from all over the East Coast, all over the country, really, to compete in this event. It's a very high-profile event, so every now and again we'll get somebody important down there. But that's a really great thing for kids and families to do. Again, during the day, it's kid and family friendly. At night, things get a little bit more adult focused. The Seafood Festival happens in Morehead City every October. That is a very kid and family friendly event. People come in for the day for that as well. Again, just another reason to get out and walk the waterfront, food vendors, local products, that kind of thing. And last but not least, if you hate boating and fishing, this might not be the place for you. This is a very popular boating and fishing destination. The Intercoastal is a great spot to put the boat in the water for the day. There are multiple boat launches on the mainland side and on the island. Shackleford Banks in particular is a very, very popular day destination for people that are putting their boat in the water anywhere up and down the Intercoastal. And the reason for that being is you can, pull up on any one of the many sandbars out there, anchor your boat, and just hang out and float in the water all day long. Most summers, the water is very clear. It's obviously not like Bahama clear, but more often than not, if you're standing in 3.5 to 4 feet of water, you can see to the bottom. And it is a very, very sandy, solid bottom. Typically, again, most summers, not a lot of seaweed. It's just a very beautiful, relaxing spot to take a day trip. So if you're not a beach person or you just want a break from the beach and the sand whipping in your face, then a boat day would be a great alternative. If you are looking for any one of these things that the Crystal Coast cannot provide, you may want to look somewhere else. But if all of these things sound appealing to you, you may want to look further into the Crystal Coast. My parents live down here full time, and so I'm in and out of the area very frequently, and I love it. I have aspirations to eventually, at some point, move down there full time. It depends on how fast I can make a lot of money so that I can be done doing this on a day-to-day basis. But it is a beautiful spot. I can't stress enough how much I love the atmosphere and the community experience of being down there, like being able to get up in the morning, hop on a bike and a golf cart and drive to a local coffee shop and get a bite to eat and a cup of coffee. We put the car seat on the golf cart sometimes and put my little guy in the back. He absolutely loves it. We also have one of those things we hook up to the electric bikes that he rides in. He loves that. It's just a really great space to be able to experience on a regular basis and get away from the hustle and bustle of life. And so if you like the idea of that slower life, I would highly encourage you to look into any one of these towns. The island life specifically is different from the mainland. Obviously, it is more expensive, but it is a different experience than being on the mainland. The island specifically, in my opinion, is a different experience than being on the mainland. It's more expensive, but it is that way for a reason, and that's because, in my opinion, it's more desirable, just because, like I said, you can do things like get on a bike or a golf cart and, cruise on over to wherever you want to go, which can also be done on the mainland, but just in more limited capacity. So there will be links in the description box below for more resources on all of these towns and the Crystal Coast in general. If you have any questions, send me an email, emily@emilymcallister.com. Like, subscribe, drop comments, anything additional you want to hear or want information on, convey that to me, and I will do my best to get it to you.